I requested my favorite song at the club, and the DJ looked at me like I'd just threatened his family. The bass was thumping through my chest when I approached the DJ booth with a $20 bill and shouted my request over the music. His whole body went rigid, and he actually took a step back from me, shaking his head frantically while mouthing absolutely not, like I'd asked him to commit a crime. After 5 minutes of pleading and waving the cash, he finally snatched it from my hand and queued something up. But when the song started playing and I hit the dance floor, everyone around me stopped moving completely and just stared at me with their mouths hanging open. My stomach twisted into knots as a woman I'd been dancing next to grabbed her friend's arm, and they both backed away from me slowly, their faces twisted in what looked like disgust mixed with horror. I laughed nervously and tried to ask what was wrong, but they literally ran toward the bathroom, leaving me standing alone in a rapidly expanding circle of empty space. My heart was pounding now, and I could feel sweat breaking out on my forehead as more people fled the dance floor, some covering their mouths in shock, while others shook their heads at me like I'd done something unforgivable. The bartender had stopped mid-pour to stare at me with his jaw clenched, and when I mouthed, "What?" at him, he just turned his back on me completely, panic rising in my throat. I spotted a guy from my yoga class near the bar and practically sprinted over, grabbing his sleeve and begging him to tell me what I'd done wrong, but he yanked his arm away so violently that I stumbled backward. "I can't believe you'd request that song," was all he said before disappearing into the crowd, leaving me dizzy with confusion. My friend who'd come with me materialized at my side and hissed, "We need to leave right now," while pulling at my arm, and I felt tears pricking at my eyes as I demanded to know what was happening, but two massive bouncers appeared before she could answer. "The manager wants to see you," the bigger one said, and my legs felt like jelly as they escorted me through the club, past all the people pressing themselves against walls to avoid touching me, past the girl who literally turned her face to the wall as I walked by, past my other friends who wouldn't even make eye contact with me. The DJ had killed the music completely, and in the horrible silence I could hear my own ragged breathing and feel hundreds of eyes boring into my back, judging me for something I didn't understand. The manager was standing behind his desk with his arms crossed, looking at me like I was the most disgusting thing he'd ever seen, and my hands were shaking so badly I had to clasp them together. "You're permanently banned from this establishment, and you need to leave immediately," he said, his voice dripping with contempt. I felt my face flush hot with humiliation and confusion as I asked what I'd done wrong, my voice cracking on the words, and he actually laughed at me, this harsh bark that made me flinch. "That song? Really? You're going to pretend you don't know?" he said, and I could feel tears spilling down my cheeks as I insisted I had no idea what he was talking about, that it was just a song I loved, that this had to be some kind of mistake. "The audacity to act innocent when you know exactly what you did," he spat, coming around the desk, and I backed away instinctively, my whole body trembling as I begged him to just explain what was wrong with the song. He grabbed my arm and started marching me toward the exit, and I was openly sobbing now, mascara running down my face as I pleaded with him to tell me what I'd done, why everyone suddenly hated me. "Get out and never come back," he said, shoving me through the door so hard I stumbled on the sidewalk, and when I turned around, still crying and confused, he'd already locked the door behind me. Through the window I could see the DJ back on the mic, saying something that made everyone inside nod in agreement, and several people were actually applauding while looking directly at me with pure disdain. My hands were shaking so violently I could barely order an Uber, and I stood there on the sidewalk in my party dress, makeup destroyed, trying to understand what had just happened. The car pulled up and I collapsed into the back seat, still hiccuping from crying, and the driver asked if I was okay. I told him I'd just been permanently banned from a club for requesting a song, and he looked concerned, asking if it was something with explicit lyrics or hate speech. "No," I said, wiping my nose with my hand. "It was just a regular happy song that everyone knows." When he asked what song could possibly cause that kind of reaction, I told him it was Walking on Sunshine by Katrina and the Waves, and he immediately pulled over and said, "Get out of my car right now."